refer back to some of the notes later on. We will have that video posted after the call is done. And let me start by saying how important it is for you to understand the compensation plans when it comes to this industry that we are in. Uh, just like Robert Kiyosaki said, that if you don't know, um, your own business, all the details, the financial accounting statement to your business, how can you ever make it go big? And same thing applies to our industry. If you can't understand the compensation plan, how can you expect to, hit the top ranks and to unlock the highest incomes and all this kind of good stuff? And I will say that it's actually quite sad that a lot of people don't really understand their own compensation plans, and how even some other so-called industry leaders or experts, even they don't fully believe or understand the true value of fully understanding comp plans. And I'll give an example, because while I was at that six-figure, seven-figure summit in Las Vegas, that some of you heard me on the call saying before, that some of the guys I were talking to, when I asked them, about the comp plan, they didn't really seem to get all the little details. And even one gentleman, when I was mentioning to the person that it's so hard to find a company nowadays that doesn't have any ranks, his response was that ranks don't mean anything. And so it just goes to show the lack of information and training that's happening out there. And tonight, I hope to provide this amazing training and knowledge for everyone, so you can become experts and really understand how comp plans can really impact. And last but not least is to help other people in the industry, other people that you might know who are in their companies struggling because they don't understand their comp plan. So without further ado, let's get started right away into talking about the comp plan pitfalls. So to start off here, first of all, understand that there are many different kind of comp plans all over the world, okay, from here to Asia, Europe, Africa, Australia, and back. And in these compensation plans, there are a lot of pitfalls, a lot of things that you need to watch out for that could be cause serious havoc or cause serious difficulties in trying to unlock the incomes promised in these comp plans. And that some of these compensation plans that you might come across actually have more than one pitfall, and even some have almost all of the pitfalls that I'm going to talk about tonight. And so, again, Abdulia, if there's for any reason why you can't hear me properly, just let me know. But I will continue for now. So, and what we call in this training is something that the CEO taught us as well a long time ago, is what we call game over clauses. And what a game over clause means is that once you see one of these pitfalls, it means that it's literally going to be very tough for you to make any kind of income in that plan. And we call that game over. And so when you see a game over clause, again, it means you've hit a brick wall. It means that you've reached the end of the track, that the sky is not the limit, and it's time to throw in that towel, because it's going to be really, really hard for you to be able to unlock these big incomes. And so, but when you do see game over clause, I want you to know that there is something else better out there, and that's GWT, because we don't have any of the pitfalls that I'm mentioning on tonight's call. And so the first pitfall, and again, if you have notes or pen, feel free to take notes. But then again, we will have this training recorded. Any questions that you might have, please submit them in, and we'll answer your questions at the end of the call. So the first pitfall is to understand, does your company, is the allocation of payout more focused on commissions or the bonuses? Okay, commissions or bonuses, because they are very different. Okay. In fact, commissions should be your main revenue stream. And the reason why is because commissions are basically paid weekly or paid monthly, and they're paid forever. Okay. Whereas bonuses are a small part of your income, because bonuses, again, are a one-time deal, right? Once you qualify for that bonus, you get them once. But if you want to get it again, you have to requalify. You have to do more work, do something to keep getting those bonuses. So realistically speaking, if you want to be able to retire comfortably in this, in your plan, you have to be able to, again, understand that you have to look at, well, do I want commissions or bonuses? Bonuses come one time, commissions are paid forever, okay? So to understand, if a payout allocation is heavily focused in bonuses, it's really meant to make the company rich because they only have to pay you once you reach that bonus. If you've done X amount of work and you haven't reached that qualification for the bonus, then the company actually got some freebies. So again, it has to be done over and over again. So companies like having plans that have a lot of bonuses, whereas payout allocations that focus in commissions make the distributor rich. It makes the LCs rich because you get them once, you get them for life. It's weekly, it's monthly. Okay, that's how you build your residual income. And again, a good plan, if you look very carefully at different plans, and I looked at so many of them, I posted all of my research results on my website under ourgwt.com. Okay, you can go there and take a look. But of all the plans that I've seen, I want to tell you that 80% of the payout allocation should really be in commissions. So, if your compensation plan that you're looking at has most of the payout in bonuses, you really want to think twice. Well, when do you plan to retire from working that plan? Okay. So again, you want to make sure that if a plan or a company's payout says it's a 50% payout, meaning that if every dollar the company gets, 50 cents goes out to the field. If that 50% payout, you have to make sure that 80% of that 50% is in commissions and not in bonuses. And so I've seen some companies, for example, that have 20 ways to earn commissions. And on the plan, it looks dazzling. They have all these funky images, graphs, and charts and photos. And of the 20 different ways to earn commissions, 19 of them are in bonuses, and only one is in commission. So in other words, if you have 20 income commission possibilities, but 19 of them are in bonuses and one of them is in commissions, then really you have not even close to the 80% focus in commissions. So really that we call game over. Okay, so again, completely game over. You want to step away from that. So moving along here, again, in GWT, our focus is payout in commissions. If you look at our commission payout, most of our plan, where the money goes, is focused in the commission. Okay. In fact, we pay out 70% payout, which I'm going to cover a bit later on. And so basically, instead of 50% payout, we have a 70% payout. And of that 70% payout, 60% is in commissions and 10% is in the bonuses. So that's how strong it is at GWT. Okay. So the second pitfall here to look at is levels. In other words, how many levels does your plan pay down to? Okay, and so in short, if the compensation plan you're working in does not pay to infinity, then game over right away, because you'll see why in a second. But historically, most of the bulk of your team, okay, in your downline, if you look at the stats and different kind of people's back offices, most of the people in your downline is actually past 8 levels. So if someone had 1,000 distributors, most of those 1,000 distributors would be after your first 8 levels, okay, because that's just traditionally what it looks like. So if your plan does not pay down to infinity, then, and meanwhile most of your distributors are after 8 levels, then you have a serious problem there, right? You're not making commissions on those people past 8 levels. So what happens is that the longer you are in business, naturally, and just because of the way it works, the deeper your organization will grow. Okay, but if your plan does not pay down to infinity, but your organization keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper, you're never collecting on the commissions from the people past those certain amount of levels. Okay, so I've seen some other plans where they might have something that can allow you to earn down to infinite numbers of levels. However, to get to that point in time, you have to do something. You have to achieve this really high rank in order to get that infinity payout. Okay, but my point is that if your company doesn't pay you down to infinity on day one, game over. Why would you even try to go into a plan where you have to try to achieve a certain rank in order to get paid down to infinity, where in our plan, you join day one and instantly, boom, you get paid down to infinity. So some examples here. I've seen some company, I don't want to give any names here, but it's horrible. The payout on every level is not even the same. So really a second question, so it's like a little pitfall number 2B, which is actually another pitfall altogether, is does your plan pay the same equal amount of commission on each level? So at GWT, as you all know, we pay out basically 10% if it's points to dollar, or 8% if it's dollar to dollar, but we pay you the same amount, the same 10% on every single level from the first level down to the very last level. I've seen other plans where they pay you on the first level maybe 0.25%, then on your second level 0.25%, the third level 0.5%, fourth level 1%. So every level is completely different. And I don't get that. Why companies do that? Well, I know why. It's because they can't afford to pay out all that commission. But in GWT, understand this. You get paid the exact same amount of 10% on every single level from the first level down to infinity. Okay, so so just be happy that GWT, we don't have these other kind of horrible kind of comp plans out there. So to continue more with the pitfalls, I've also seen, again, some other companies I mentioned before where you only get paid down to, for example, 8 levels, but once you reach a certain rank, then you get paid 1% on level 9 and down to the rest. Again, why even go through that? Why not just join a plan when you can get paid from the first level down to the very bottom the same equal amount, which is a high amount, right? And so now, in terms of compensation plan types, there are different types of comp plans. Okay, the first type is called a unilevel plan, where basically, if you see a plan that says unilevel, in short, all you have to understand is it's game over, it's done. Okay, the reason why is because a unilevel plan, by nature, the way it's designed, the whole purpose of the plan is to not pay you down to infinity. Okay, so below, I pulled this sample from the online internet. This is an example of a unilevel plan where you can basically have 3 people below you. Unilevel really means there's in our example below, it's saying you have basically three legs wide. But in most levels, there's no limit to how many legs you can have or how many lines you can have. So in the example below, we have a unilevel plan that has currently 3 legs wide, and each person has 3 legs. But realistically speaking, most unilevel plans, you can have 10 legs, 20 legs, 30 legs. Okay, now if you think about this carefully, instantly it's game over. The reason why is because it doesn't pay you past the 3rd level. So most level plans, if you look carefully at the plan, they will tell you how many levels you get paid down to, but it's never to infinity, because that's the whole purpose of unilevel. So if you see a unilevel plan, instantly game over. And the reason why it's not good is because in a unilevel plan, you're forced to build wide. You want to have as many legs as possible attached to you because you usually get the most commission on the first level. Okay, and whereas on the 3rd level, you might get 8% on the first level, second level 4%, third level 1%. So in actuality, you actually want to have as many people as possible on your first level. But if that's your incentive, we have what we call a compensation plan contradiction. Because you want to have so many people on your first level, it means that you're not interested to put people below other people. Whereas in GWT, you have this effect called spillover, which means you're putting people below your own downline. And that is good for their business because now they have a team. But that doesn't happen usually with a unilevel plan. There's no spillover. You don't put people below other people. Okay? So the next type that we have here is called a matrix. Now, in a matrix, it's very similar to the unilevel plan, except that there's dimensions basically. Okay, so in this example here, a matrix always has an x by y. Okay, what that means is that x is how wide you can build, and deep is the Y is how deep you can build. So if it says 2 by 10, it means that you can have 2 legs or two width legs wide and get paid down to 10 levels. Okay, a 3 by 5 means you can have 3 legs and get paid down to 5 levels. So the chart we have below is actually an example of a 3 by 5. Okay, you can have 3 legs. Each person can have 3 legs, and you get paid down to 5 levels. So again, the nature of a matrix is not to pay you down to infinity. It gets stopped by the Y number, which is 10 in our example over here, or 5 by the 3 by 5. So again, whenever you see a matrix compensation plan in your mind, you should already know it's game over. I don't get paid down to infinity, where most of my future organization will be in. Okay. And so the third type we have here, so take a quick sip of my drink here. The third plan we have here is a bit confusing, so I actually left it for the last one. It's called the stair-step breakaway. Now this plan here is confusing for most people, for the average person, to be politically correct here. But in short, it does not pay to infinity either. And here's a quick rundown of how a stair-step breakaway works, okay? So you come onto this plan here and you're a new distributor. Okay, you start off here and basically you're just buying products for yourself. Okay, and of course, by being, but once you introduce 2 people, you become an assistant supervisor. Okay, and what that means now is that you now get a 5% rebate sometimes. In other words, of what you're spending, you might get a discount or a rebate of 5%. Okay. So now you have that discount being a assistant supervisor, okay? Now, of course, once you reach up to having about 25 people in your group that you personally sponsor, you might be called a supervisor now. So you're now climbing the stair step, okay? So you went from being an assistant supervisor, where you sponsor 2 people, to becoming a supervisor that had 25 people. And of course, now you get 8% a rebate, or it could be savings as well too. Okay, but what happens here though is you actually not only do you get an 8% commission on yourself here, but which is good because you get 8% of all of the sales happening in your team. Okay, but what's really messed up is that when someone in your organization of the 25 people, if someone also becomes the assistant supervisor, meaning that they're now getting the 5%, what happens is you now don't get the 5%, you get 8 minus 5, which is 3%. So it's kind of weird how you're doing more work, and when someone in your group moves up a level to assistant supervisor, it now hurts you. So instead of getting 8%, you're now getting 8% minus the 5% from that person downwards. Okay. Then likewise, when you reach manager at 120 people, you would be getting 18%, right? But if you have someone in your team who is the assistant manager, okay, you get 18 minus 13, which is 5% of whatever sales that they generate. So it's kind of funny because you're moving up the chain here, and the better that your team does, the more it takes away from you, just kind of backwards. So we call it a contradiction in the comp plan. Now, what's funny, to give you another example, is if you're a supervisor over here and someone else in your team also does really well and they also become a supervisor, then 8% minus 8% is 0%. So, one thing that they never really mentioned to you when you're looking at these kind of plans called stair-step breakaways is that someone in your organization actually matches what you just did, you lose all the commissions from that person onwards, which is completely retarded, okay? But however, what happens is, let's say you actually reach the level of manager, okay? Once someone in your organization essentially also matches, the manager level, okay? What happens is that if someone in your organization matches you as a manager, that person onwards, their whole entire group breaks away from you. Okay, so in other words, once someone reaches the manager, which is 18 minus 18 0%, okay, that person breaks away, and now you might get like a 2% commission or 3% commission on that group, which you call it which we call it the first generation, okay. And basically, as you go on and on and on, you can get small commissions of many generations. But the point is here is that it's really, really hard to build, because you have to really it's a big tricky game to play. And this kind of plan here, most companies nowadays don't really use this plan because it's much, much harder to build. In fact, most of the new plans nowadays don't use static breakaways. Okay. Then we have the binary plans, which are the only ones that pay down to infinity. Okay, now that being said, there's a big contrast between older binaries and ours. Older binaries had the 50-50 rule, okay? But let's be honest here, right? When you're building two different legs, you're never going to have them exactly balanced. It's never 50-50. One leg will always be bigger than the other leg. So some of the newer binary plans change it to becoming a 1/3, 2/3 rule. Okay, we could have one small leg and one big leg. However, you don't know which leg will become bigger. Okay, so and some companies only have payment on one leg, which I'm gonna cover later on. Okay, but binary by far is the best kind of plan to work with because it pays you down to infinity. So the longer you're in business, you don't have to worry about your team growing deeper and deeper because you can still collect commissions on all of those people. The third pitfall, okay, is payouts and ranks. And ranks is probably the biggest thing that's most people in other companies don't understand because every plan has them and they don't really know the difference or what's better out there. So, let me ask you a question, right? What is the purpose of ranks? And a lot of people think that the purpose of ranks is to motivate your downline, to have them become more excited, want to achieve that next level. But truly and really, there's only one real purpose of having a rank, and that purpose is not to motivate you. Again, that's just a myth, okay? The only purpose of a rank is to restrict the flow of money from the company to you. It's restricting how much you make, okay? And the reason why is because companies don't, they have ranks in place because they can't afford to pay everyone the same payout. Okay, so you know how most companies have these crazy ranks like Ruby, Diamond, Sapphire, Double Diamond, GI Joe, Superman, Monster, whatever it is. It's funny because let me ask you a question, right? Why did they ever put ranks in there in the first place? Like, why didn't the company just say, you know what, instead of having ranks, we're going to remove all the ranks and pay everyone like the top guy does? Like, so let me ask you a question. Why do companies just do that? Why do all companies have to have a rank? And the only logical reason why is because they can't afford to pay everyone the same amount of money. So they have to put ranks in place to give one guy a big check to go on stage and to say, hey, look, guys, I made all this money. You can do it too. And let me share with you guys a really cool story here. I had someone come to me and they're so proud about, about their company. And he's telling me that, my top guy in my company, he can make, a $1 jillion a month in earnings. I said, well, great. I said, well, let me ask you a question. I said, how many people in your company, he must have a really high rank to make a $1 zillion. And the guy said, yes, he has the highest rank. And so I asked him, well, how many people in your company, as a percentage-wise, have that rank? And he said, well, he's very proud about this. He's well, less than 1% of people have that rank. So my upline, he's a super cool guy, super strong dude. And so my response to him was, so what you're telling me is that for me to join your plan and to obtain the income that you're boasting about from this top guy, that my probability of earning that income is already less than 1%. And he looked shocked and he looked stunned because he didn't realize that if less than 1% of the people in that company have that rank, it means that for anyone joining that company, their probability of obtaining that income is already less than 1% because they don't have that rank. So ranks are very important, right? So and if you think about it, why is it fair that just because someone has a higher rank than you do, that they should make more than you do? You're both working hard, so why does one get more? So in our company, what's amazing is that we don't have any ranks. We have 0 ranks. So you joining today or last year, you're following the exact same plan that the top guys in this company are following. There's nothing that separates how much we can make versus what you can make. Nothing says that, because we have this rank, we can make more than you can. It's exactly the most fairest plan. We follow the exact same plan. Okay, so moving along here, okay, with ranks, a lot of these ranks that companies have, they have these ranks in order to unlock bonuses. But then again, right, if less than 1% of the people can obtain these crazy ranks, what do these bonuses have to do with you? Okay, so in most companies, most of those bonuses have nothing to do with most of the people in that company, because most of the people don't have that rank. Ranks are truly a pain in the butt. Number one, you have to achieve them first, and it's not easy. Then you have to maintain the rank. So I've seen some plans where you can actually go up a rank and go down a rank, which is very demotivational. So the question becomes, can you lose your rank? And if you lose your rank, then do you lose your bonuses? If you lose your bonuses, do you lose your income? So ranks have a lot of things that they don't mention in their pretty PowerPoint or PDF slides. If you look at the details, you'll see how ranks can be detrimental to your business. And again, can your team lose their ranks? And if your team loses their ranks, then do you lose your rank too? Okay, so if someone in your team drops a rank, naturally that would drop your rank as well too, which just basically sucks. So here's an example for you, much more visual example. So typically, here's how ranks work. Okay, don't be scared here. To become an E, you might have to have 2 people you bring in. Now you have an E status. Okay, to become a D, you had to have 2 E's, and again, each E has their 2 legs, right? To become a C, you had to have 3 D's. To become a B, you have to have 4 different legs with a C rank person in each of those legs. And to become this super A rank, you have to have 5 different legs with a B rank person in each of those legs. Okay, that's usually how ranks kind of work. Okay, so in our example, here you are, that's you right there, you're right there, and you have 3 Ds, which is why you're a C. Okay, now let me change the example here. Let's say that right now you, which is a green circle, you are actually a D, okay? Because you have 1 D in one leg, 1 E in the middle leg, and a D on the third leg. So you want to become a C. And so, so your goal is you want to help E over here become a D, which will make you into a C, okay? But what's really backwards about this plan is, now let's say these 2 Ds were your initial hot shot. They're working so hard, producing a lot of sales for you. What's really backwards is with the rank system is you now don't want to work with work with these other 2 guys. All of your focus goes down to E. But in a proper plan, shouldn't you pour fuel on your fires? Shouldn't you focus heavily on the people who are producing like crazy, which is the 2 Ds? Okay. So what's really backwards is that in most of these ranked plans, your incentive is to help the ones who aren't working the business as hard. But really and truly, you should be pouring fuel on your fire. So luckily in GWT, we don't have to worry about ranks. We don't have to worry about this stuff at all. There are no ranks. Okay, we have ranks that dictate your bonuses, which is the car and the luxury club, but it has no impact on your commission. Okay, so the question now becomes, well, what happens if these 2 Ds are working so fast? Okay, what happens if one of these 2 Ds goes really fast and they have their 3 Ds and they become a C? Okay, let's take a look here. If one of your people here, this guy over here, became a C because he had his 3 Ds, what happens for you is you just lost all of the bonuses for being a D or a C, because now you have someone in your downline who is already a D and who's already a C. So you just lost most of your bonuses that were supposed to go to you because you have a D and a C below you. So whenever you see a rank, what we say is game over. Don't even bother dealing with this kind of stuff, because you don't have to deal with this kind of stuff at GWT. Okay, and now if you were in this predicament, your whole mindset is, well, you know what? C, slow down. C, don't go too fast. I want you to slow down so I can catch up with my other two legs and make them all C's. It's a really backwards kind of plan. Okay, moving along here, give me another example. Let's say that you were in a right situation and you were a C. So you're a C because you have three D's, and each of those D's have their two E's, right? What happens now, again, if one of your D's loses his rank and becomes an E? Again, game over. If that ever happened to you and this D became an E, it means that he's no longer a D, which means that you're no longer a C. So if your team drops a rank, guess what? You can drop a rank as well too. Okay? So, and believe me, you might be strong enough that if you were to lose a rank, you might be able to hold on to it and just keep pushing hard and keep working harder. But most of the time, think about your team. If your team were to lose a rank, can you imagine how demotivational that would be for your team? And how much damage that would cause for your business? I hope you're getting depressed here, but don't worry, because at GWT we don't have these problems. Okay, so luckily we don't have ranks in our plan like this kind of stuff, which is just so scary. And lastly, I can share you a personal example. In my last company, which me and Sherry were in the same company, Sherry, of course, is our regional ambassador, the top female income earner of the company. She was actually my sponsor in the last company. And, she actually, had a higher rank than I did. And I was sort of moving up the ranks. But, she's making all these bonuses. But guess what happened when my rank matched Sherry's rank? When my rank matched Sherry's rank, she lost a whole bunch of bonuses, and you can imagine how demotivated she was. Okay, but let me take it one step further. What happens again if I were to surpass her rank? So I believe I actually did surpass her rank in the last company because she wasn't really working that hard, but then she lost all of her bonuses. So if you see these guys in the company that have these monster huge ranks, and it's this really fancy rank, just feel sorry for all of the people above that person. Because for all of the people, like for example, in our example over here, the A person here, every single person above the A person has no chance in the world to having a financial home run because they had to do so much work to pass this A, which they can't even pass this A, right? Okay, I think we've talked enough about rank. Let's move on here. A lot of plans have gimmicks or tricks with the car programs, and so I've seen some plans that gave out a lot of different free cars, and later on there's thousands of lawsuits from distributors suing the company for the car program because they weren't aware of how the car program actually worked. Okay, because whose name is on the lease, yours or the company? Okay, if your name is on the lease, you're on the hook for it. If it's a company's name, you're good to go. But what happens if you don't maintain the qualifications for your car? So a lot of companies out there, they make you have to work to qualify for the car program. If you don't qualify that month for the car, guess who's paying for it? You are. And what happens if you don't have enough money to pay for it? Now now you're in trouble. The collectors are after you now, and they might come after your house, come after everything that you have. It can possibly make you bankrupt. So be very careful with companies that give you a car too quickly, because usually means that you have to do a lot of work to maintain that car program. And it most likely means that you're going to be paying for it later on because it's so hard to maintain those qualifications. And so, and really, would you rather get a car lease that you pay at least $1,000 a month to drive when you just got started, or would you rather make $1,000 cash? So what I'm saying here is a lot of car companies that give you the car program really quickly, they're taking it from your commissions. They're not giving it to you. It's the work that you've done. They're giving it back to you. But let me ask you a question. Would you rather take $1,000 cash in commissions or $1,000 allowance to your car program? Of course you want the cash because you can do what you want with it, right? So what I love about GWT is that we pay out so much in commissions and we don't make you get a car. And once you reach the rank of national ambassador, which again had nothing to do with your commissions, they give you an 18-month car to drive for free, no qualifications required. Okay. So, example, if you go on to Lease Busters right now in Canada, There's so many BMWs being leased trade-overs because the people who got them can't keep them and they had to get rid of it now. Okay, so if you see a car program that you have to qualify for every single month, game over. Okay, pitfall number 5. Is there a flushing or is there a blocking of commissionable volume? In other words, does a compensation plan flush volume? In short, GWT never flushes the volume. Okay, other plans, does it flush volume after you reach a certain payout? So some other companies, not to mention names here, but once you reach like $1,000 a week payout, which is usually the maximum you can make on a business center, the rest of the volume gets flushed. So imagine making like $1,000 in 1 week, and the rest of the volume gets flushed. Thankfully, at GWT, this never ever happens. Okay, so even when you're making 10,000 a week, the rest of the volume always stays there. Okay, or does your compensation plan flush volume after a certain period? So again, not to mention companies' names, but most companies, after 1 year, they will flush all the remaining volume. Okay, GWT, that never ever happens. And again, other plans, do they have a block or a limit or a ceiling to how much volume that can accumulate? Okay, again, GWT has no ceiling on how much volume you can accumulate. So our number one earner, Reza Misgarlu, who started in 05, was very busy. And for 3 years, he was just, he kept paying his IA, kept paying his IA. For 3 years, all of his volume kept accumulating. After 3 years, he had about $8 million of volume that had accumulated over the past 3 years. So imagine in any other company, every year his volume would have been flushed. Thankfully, at GWT, that doesn't ever happen. Is there a maximum of how much you can carry over? Very similar to our last point there. GWT has infinite carryover. What that means is that when you cycle your cycles, does the remaining volume carry over? And for GWT, yes, it does. And lastly, is there a maximum how much commission you can make from your business center and how much is it? So again, some plans, they only allow you to make $1,000 a week, okay? And in order to make another $1,000 per week, you have to open up another business center at the very bottom and build another 2 legs. And to make another $1,000 a week, you'd open another business center at the very bottom and build again another 2 legs. So GWT, you can have $10,000 per week per business center. And we think that is more than adequate, 40 grand a month, $500,000 a year to live comfortably, okay, and share the rest with other people. In other plans that have a cap of $1,000 per week, guess what? You have to build to the same income at GWT, at least 9 business centers to have the 9,000 plus $1,000 per week income. That's almost 18 additional legs, not 9. That's almost 18 additional legs, okay. Moving along to our pitfall number 6. Okay, number 6 is how many legs do you have to build? And this was part of our initial topic in terms of unit level and matrices, right? If your compensation plan requires you to build more than 2 legs, then game over. Like, why would you build 5 legs when you can build 3? Why would you build 3 when you can build 2? Okay, because 2 is the easiest thing to build. It's the minimum you can have to make MLM legal. Okay, you can't just build 1 leg. All right. So, and the reason why is this. Okay, aside from the fact that building 2 legs is easier than building 5 legs, that's just common sense, right? But longevity and retention is in depth. So the deeper you build your organization, the stronger it is. Why is that? Why is it that the deeper you build your teams, the more longevity and retention that you have? Is because when people see they have a huge downline below them, they don't want to quit. Okay, so like Reza, after 3 years of paying his IA, he had a few thousand people in his team. Would he quit? Never. Okay, but if you've been in a business for 3 years and all you have is a team of 2 people, would you quit? Probably, right? Okay, so again, longevity is in depth. Okay, and lastly, to have you really understand this, if you had 10 people to join you and you had to build 10 different legs to maximize the plan, then you would put 1 person on each leg, right? okay? But if you only had to build 2 legs, then you would put 5 people in those 2 legs, one on top of the other. So really, you're helping those 5 people by putting people below them, right? So isn't it nice to have someone join below you? And of course, the answer is yes. Okay, next here, pitfall number 7. What is pitfall number 7? Is the payout on all of the legs, okay? Now, I got some feedback that my sound disappeared. I want to make sure that people can still hear me. Okay.
Yeah, Renee, you're
Hi.
good. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Thank you so much, Sherry. Thank you.
Good. You're
Okay. Thank you. Number 7 is the payout on all legs. So again, what does that mean? It means that does your compensation plan pay you on the volume on all of your legs? Okay. And example, there are some comp plans out there that only pay you on the pay leg or the weaker leg. If you ever see a comp plan that says, we're going to pay you on the pay leg or pay you on the weaker leg or pay you on the power leg, if you see that, it means game over, okay? It means they're not paying you on both legs, okay? Why? Because if a company only pays you on your weakest leg, think about this. If you have 2 legs, one weak, one really big, if a company only pays you on the weaker leg, then you're never going to touch any of the volume on the bigger leg. So what's the point of having a bigger leg if you never get money from the bigger leg, right? It's pointless, right? And so let me give you an example here, okay? So in our example, we have ABC company that pays you 10% on the weaker leg versus GWT that pays you 10% on both legs. So here's company ABC, it's company GWT, there's you, and there's a line down the middle, okay, line down the middle, and your right side is your bigger team. So the right side of ABC company and GWT, you have 100,000 volume on both of your right sides, okay? Let's calculate what ABC pays you if it pays you 10% on the weaker leg. If you had volume coming in on your weak leg, and the volume was 1667, then 10% payout of your weaker leg, which is 1667, your payout is $166. Okay, let's look at GWT's plan. In GWT, we take the 1/3 from the smaller side, which is 167. We add 2/3 from the bigger side, right? That's our plan. 1/3, 2/3 variable, right? That's our plan. So 1667 plus 3333 from the bigger side, that's a total of 5,000. 5,000 pays you 10%, which is 500. So you see how much of a contrast this is? If a company only pays you 10% on their weaker leg, but GWT, we pay you 10% on both of your legs with a 1/3, 2/3 calculation. 1/3, 1667, plus 2/3, which is 3333, is 5,000. 10% is $500. Let me ask you a question. Would you rather want $166? Or would you want $500? The answer is clear. In our example over here, does your comp plan require you to balance your legs? And some plans, they make you be a 50-50, mentioned that before. Some have to be a 1/3, 2/3, or 2/3, 1/3. In GWT, it's all of the above. Every combination of 1/3, 2/3 will pay you that commission, okay? So it could be left, right, 2,500, 2,500 in points, 2,000, 3,000, 3,000, 2,000, minimum 1667 and 3333, it pays you. So any combination of the above pays you your commission paycheck, okay? Now, let's look at this. Let's say a company here, another example, pays you 10% commission on a 50-50 plan. So same example, ABC company, GWT, there's you, right side's a bigger leg, $100,000 volume. In a 50-50 plan, if 167 came in, you get paid 10% of 167, okay, which would be 166. But in the best situation where in a binary plan they pay you on both legs, like 167 plus 167, that's 3333, you make $333. Still, even with a 50-50 plan, look how much more GWT pays you. It pays you $500 because we have a 1/3, 2/3. So it's much more powerful than the binary older plans, okay? So our next pitfall is number 9 is a payout requalification. In other words, do you have to maintain certain qualifications to requalify to keep your commission payout? Okay, if you have any kind of requalification, then it's game over. In me and Sherry's last company, or same as Marlo's last company, it's kind of funny, from 5 years ago, whatever, is that in that company, you had to sponsor 2 people every single month to maintain your commissions. Can you imagine how hard that is? Every single month, you just sponsor at least 2 people. Now, I mean, we should be able to do that because we're taught and trained. But again, imagine 1 month you don't get your 2 people, no commission, instant game over. Okay. Our 10th pitfall. What is your company's retention ratio for monthly reorders? Okay. The DSA average for monthly auto ship and reorders is 6%. And this is your residual income, right? Auto ships is your residual income. The average is 6%. Okay. Now GWT, it's well over now. It's actually got changed. It's well over now 55% last time we checked. But that's because it's everybody from day one till today, right? Most of the new teams who have got started in the last year, 2, 3 years, have an over 90% retention ratio, which is unheard of. Okay. So, and the reason why is because, a side opinion, most people who join MLM or network marketing, they join it to make money. Okay. Otherwise, if they were here just to buy products, there's thousands of similar products out there you can buy from the grocery stores or from Walmart or Shopper Drug Mart or wherever it might be, right? So if you were to join the health and wellness industry, there are right now 96 million people in direct sales worldwide, and 90% of the 96 million people are in health and wellness. So about 90 million people are in health and wellness competing against you. And that's the reason why the average on DSA for retention is so low, because people keep trying different new juices, right? So, let me ask you a question. Are you here to make money once or make it for life? And if every 3 months a new company comes out with the best product, what are you going to do, right? Do you keep fighting with these companies and constantly in a product battle to figure out which one has the best products? Because every distributor, let's face it, every distributor and every single company says bad things about other companies' products. It's a same thing. It could be coffee, could be weight loss, it could be vitamins, but they're always saying bad stuff about each other. So do you want to be in a company where you're constantly trying to defend your product and compare it to something else out there, right? And what happens is that, it gets boring. So some people, they get bored of the products. They see a new product. They want to try the new one. Now your team is leaving you. And do you want to watch your team leave you and join these other companies, right? Or are you going to be smarter about it? And will you leave first and then bring your team with you? And you keep switching companies every single few years. And what bothers the heck out of me right now is that in this industry, there's so many people who just don't learn properly, and they're jumping from one company to the next company, and they're bringing what they can with them, leaving a few behind. It's creating a disaster. It's like a red ocean full of blood, people getting hurt out there, right? Okay, so, and again, let me ask a question, right? If you get those business for home articles, can you see how often an MLM leader switches companies, right? Let me ask you a question. Why do you think these top leaders in other companies are switching companies? If a person was a top distributor in another company, let's be logical here, right? If they were the top distributor in another company or one of the top leaders, why would they ever leave? The only reason why is because they're not making any money, right? And they're not making any money because their teams are not staying with them, logically, right? And it's because their teams keep finding some other kind of thing to join. So what I love about GWT is that our leaders, if you look at any of the top income earners, they're still here. After 7, 9 years, all the top earners are still here. Why? Because you're actually making money. Okay? So, and also one of the other pains I see right now in other companies is that if you have to become a doctor, put on a white coat, and to try to understand the products, it's just too hard. And lastly, are you qualified to even give medical advice, right? So, and lastly, do people have to try your products? At GWT, There's no reason why we have to try the products. We like it, you see, you buy it, right? Other companies, the reason why the retention is so rough is because people keep quitting because they might try the product and not like it after a few months. Okay, so um, some other key points here in terms of why the retention is so bad is, does your company sell a need or a want? Want is always stronger than need. You don't need to smoke, you want to smoke. You don't need to drink, you want to drink. You don't need to shop, you want to shop. All you people on the call today, you don't need to have more than one pair of shoe, more than one pair of pants, but you want to have more than one shoe and more than one pants, right? So want is always more powerful than need, okay? People don't need to buy brand name stuff, they want to buy brand name stuff. So GWT, people want our products. It's an instant appeal, instant gratification. No one has to test out the products. They don't expire. They don't go bad. They don't go obsolete. They gain value over time. They can pass down from generation to generation. And so, to give you an example, if you want to find, a funny story, most of these other companies, if you go into their homes and look in their closet, there's a pile up of inventory. They can't consume it all. Okay, now, so if your company sells vitamins, game over. Too much competition. Juices, same thing. Weight loss, same thing. Health and wellness, same thing. Telecommunications, same thing. Technology, same thing. Travel, same thing. Right? Okay. As long as your company sells something that someone else can duplicate, copy, or imitate, and your team will switch company and it's game over. Okay. At GWT, what's nice here is that we're the only company in the face of direct selling in the world that does what we do. We're a brand. People love buying brands. Okay. And no one just shops at Coach or just Gucci. People love buying from different kinds of brands. But the only brand that has Plankston's, Delight, 19K, 21K, a Selenium is our brand, and no one else has Fairy or Fairy Mosh or Posh, and that's why we don't suffer the same issues that other companies do. Okay, try to finish off here before the next 10 minutes here. Pitfall number 11, very important here. The payout earning per distributor retention ratio. Okay, what in the world is that? The payout ED ratio. That stands for the earning per distributor, okay? And the question is, what is the average of the ED ratio? In the industry, for every one person you have in your team, you will earn $1 on average, okay? So if you want to make $10,000 a month income, you have to have 10,000 people, okay? If you're in high tech or telecommunications, it's up to 30 cents per distributor. So it's even worse. Okay, so to make 10K a month, you have to have 30,000 people, for example. At GWT, we pay you $8.93 per person. We pay out almost 800% more than 800% more than other companies do. Okay, that's why to reach a six-figure income like I did, you don't have to have 100,000 people. You can do with just 7,000 people, okay? What's more realistic, 100,000 people in your team or 7,000 people? Let me ask all of you people on the call tonight, do you really think you can achieve and have 100,000 people in your organization? Is that doable to you? Is it easy to you? Or is 7,000 much more likely? Of course, the answer is 7,000, right? So, and the way we calculate $8.93 is because in our company, as you know, 5,000 points pays you $500, right? So $6,250 is the same as 5,000 points, pays you $500, right? Every diamond member gives you 90 points per month in terms of volume that flows up towards you. So if you had 56 diamonds who paid the monthly 150, 56 diamonds times 90 points would be more than 5,000 points, which makes you $500 a month. So $500 divided by the number of people required to get that $500 is $8.93 per person. So that's how much we paid out, okay? So would you rather have 100 people in your team making you $100 a month or 100 people in your team making you $893 per month? Again, the answer is, again, GWT, all right? So the question then becomes, why can't other health and wellness companies have a higher ED ratio? Why can't they raise up the price for their products? Because no one's going to buy them, okay? So if I sold you $1,000 vitamin, would you buy it? Of course not, okay? But if I sold you $1,000 timepiece, would you buy it? Yeah, you would. Okay, Some other things here in terms of pitfalls here is other companies don't really have real retail sales, okay? And the regulators don't really like that. The nice thing about GWT here is that we actually have real retail sales, people doing home parties, okay? And so, be very careful of companies that promote retail but don't really have true retail, okay? Number 12 is matching bonuses. Does your company even give a matching bonus, and how much is it? Some companies don't have a matching bonus, like my first company, they had no matching bonuses, okay? Now, some companies have a higher percentage, but be very careful. My last company, they had 100% matching bonus on your first generation, but the matching bonuses are always paid against the commission you make. So if you made a 100% matching bonus on your personal sponsor named John, and John made $20, 100% of $20 is $20. At GWT, we get 10% of 500, and 10% of 500 is how much? 10% of 500 is 50. Okay, would you want 10 or 50? So always understand that matching bonuses are paid off of the commissions, which in most other companies, they have low commissions. We have high commissions, right? Okay. And so some other really things to be very wary of is other companies actually pay leaders to join those companies. And I've got many offers. Most of our top earners in our company get offers all the time to join other companies, okay? But why would a company do that? Like, why would a company offer another leader all this money to bring them over? Well, let's give an example here. Let's say you and me, we go to Malaysia and we find this new mushroom extract and we create the most latest and greatest and best product thing out there, okay? So we have this great product, but how do we go and build the team now, right? Do we start talking to people to join us and be at the top? We could, but it's very slow. So what's the faster way? You get leaders to join you. But will a leader who's making a lot of money in the company just leave their company to join your company? Of course not. They're already making a lot of money. So what has to happen is, in order to get these leaders, you have to pay them to join. Let me ask you a question. If a leader gets paid to join, to bring their team over, and is guaranteed all these high ranks, is that real? Is that a real story? The answer is no. So all these leaders on stage saying how much they're making, it's not even real in the first place, okay? And lastly, I've seen other top earners who you might think are top earners, but their income comes because they're a part owner of the company. At GWT, we have founders and shareholders, but that has nothing to do with the income that we make. And last, at GWT, no leader is bought. We don't have one single person that has joined GWT, who's a top earner, and was actually paid to come over here. Not even one. Every earner made it themselves because it's realistic, it's doable, okay? And so, I kind of mentioned this about before too. It's going to kind of fast forward here. But to summarize the call today, I want to share with you guys, you don't have to understand all this stuff tonight, okay? You can understand it, but you don't have to go and try to teach someone else these kind of stuff right away. There's simple questions you can ask that can make you look very smart. So what I want to focus on is when you meet someone out there who is in another company, what questions can you ask them to make yourself look super, super sharp, okay? You can ask the person number one, right? Like, for example, Mr. Prospect, John, would you agree that understanding compensation plans is important for your business? Everyone should say yeah. If they say no, tell them, you know what, I completely disagree with that. The plan is how you make money. How can you not know how your plan works to make money, okay? Second question, you say, how many legs do you have to build? These are the questions you can ask someone to make your life very simple. How many legs do you have to build? They say 3, they say 4. Ask those questions, right? Number 3, how many levels does your plan play down to? Does your plan have ranks that impact your commissions? What is the total payout of your company? What is your ED ratio? And does a car program require you to maintain qualifications? Okay, so just by asking these 7 questions, all right, it's going to make you look like an expert when it comes to comp plans. And most likely, when you're asking these questions, they're going to ask you, well, why do you ask all these questions for? And now is your chance to explain to them. Now is your chance to help educate the people in our profession, because there's too many uneducated people in our profession that need rescuing, okay? So the more you can educate others, the more you're helping the industry and the 96 million people in it. So, these are the questions you can ask someone. And some of the people might not even have the answer to these questions, but that's going to give you the upper hand to explain to the person more about GWT and to have them understand why is GWT the superior company to be with. Okay. So in short, folks, it's time to live again. There's no compensation plan that pays more than we do. And I backed that up with all my research on my website. There's no product more unique in direct sales. There's no product more unique in the world. And there's nothing more you can ask for. The only thing that you have to do, folks, on call tonight is apply action. It's always been that. It's about you putting your foot in the ground. You know what? It's time to take action. Start picking up the phone, make those phone calls, get out there, and just rock it. Okay. And again, just to show with you guys what I've actually done on my website here, is on my website, just to prove to you guys really quickly here, is under our gwt.com on the left-hand banner under compensation plan comparisons. What I've done here is I've actually compared all the major companies that have approached me before, that I've heard of through the team. I've compared their comp plan to ours, and not one till today can pay them more than we can. Okay, so back to our PowerPoint. I know we have a few announcements here. I'll cover very quickly before we take the Q&A. We do have an Ottawa boot camp. It's a do not miss event hosted by our national ambassador Reza Masgarlu. That's a gentleman who had $8 million of volume after 3 years of paying his IA. Again, focused trainings on workshops on approaching, inviting, keeping the pipeline full, retailing, building locally and globally, growing globally. There's going to be a crossfire where you can ask all your questions, get the answers, learn new strategies, set up yourself for massive success. It's at $21 for the tickets on December the 13th, which is this next coming Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Location is in the Ottawa office at 275 Slater Street, Suite 900. So if you can, make sure you get your tickets right away and just contact Reza for any of the other additional questions. And of course, we also do have our extra special Toronto boot camp in Toronto. It's a phase 4 boot camp with some superstars here, national ambassador and RAs and everything with myself, Sean Haynes, Jeanette Beaver, and ambassadors Sarah and Winnie Chang. It's a must-attend event as well too if you're in Toronto at the Holiday Inn Express at 10 East Pierce Street at Richmond Hill. Free parking, date and time, also next Saturday. Registration at 9:30 a.m. Boot camp runs from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Buy your tickets right now from the promo site, $18 including tax. And aside from that, I want to say thank you very much, folks, for being on the call tonight. I'm going to turn the call back to my wonderful host, Abdulia, to cover some Q&A.
Wow, Renee. Thank you so much. I hear my echo. I hope you guys don't hear my echo.
Okay, let's go to mute one person, which should help you here. So there you go. Much better now. Go ahead.
Okay. Wow, Renee, thank you so much. I was so writing notes all over because I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know these. You are the expert when it comes to compensation plans. You're the expert, and it's amazing how unique our compensation plan is, how special, and definitely, I mean, we need to appreciate what our CEO has created for all of us to really hit the financial home run with GWT. There is no ranks, there is no balancing legs. There is no generation, I pay you these, and then the other generation, I pay you zero. I mean, I was like, oh my God, we don't have to go through all of that. The majority of people have to be thinking about learning the system, and I'm like, we don't. It's simple. We pay to infinity. We pay the percentage to infinity. We make things simple, and you're right. We just have to take action and really make it happen for all of us, just like you have done it. And definitely we need to take action for it. Thank you so much for your your wonderful explanation.
And I must say that I must give my thanks to my coach and my mentor who taught me all this stuff, which is our very own CEO, Mr. Rami Masgardu. So I learned all this stuff because of him. So again, it's coming right down from the top. Thank you.
Perfect. Wow, we're so blessed. We're so blessed to be in GWT. I'm gonna have actually Sherry, because I'm having issues with my computer, so I don't see the questions. But along Regional Ambassador Sherry Shao, she's actually gonna ask you some of the questions that we have on, from all over the world.
Sure.
Can you unmute her to make sure?
I'm here. Can you hear me, Renee?
Yes, loud and clear. Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, great. Renee, thank you so much for this amazing training again. I've been with you for since day one in the business, and this is amazing. Like you can put this all together, organized, and make simple questions that we can ask questions for the to our prospects. That's really amazing. And anyways, let's go ahead. We do have a lot of comments and questions coming in, and so let's getting through it first. So we have Tony ask, as we got the pitfall number 4, the car program for GWT. When we say we pay upfront for 18 months for the car for those LCs who attend the plan, is the cars theirs, or once 18 months is over, they have to return the car, or who owns the car?
That's a great question there, Tony. So basically, yeah, thank you, Sherry. Basically, when you qualify, the car is actually prepaid by the company for you for 18 months, okay? And so, once you qualify for it, it's yours for 18 months. You can drive it for 18 months, no worries, no stress. Once the 18 months is over, you can actually qualify for another 18 months again, okay? So you can have another 18 months for free. Now, if you don't qualify again, no worries. The car just goes back to the company, and that's it. So the car doesn't belong to the company. So you can actually sign leases for 18 months through different brands out there. So after 18 months, if you don't qualify again, the car goes back to the dealership. It doesn't belong to anyone. It's a lease. Okay, back to you, Sherry.
Okay, great. Thank you, Renee. So the other question actually is asked that someone by our LC in Haiti, and he said he has some prospect in Boston. Can you put me in touch with someone who are willing to help there? So I think that is really a GFT family question here. We all a family, and if we do have that. If you have prospects in Boston and you need some help, and please contact your My5, and make sure that we will make sure that someone is there to help you who are in Boston. So and we also have Kelly. Kelly saying, thanks Renee for amazing training. Have learned a lot, incredible information.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yeah, and we have Anne-Marie said, what qualifies one for weekly commission in GWT?
That's the beautiful thing, Anne-Marie. In our company, you're already qualified. The second you join into the company and you have your first 2 people, one left, one right, you already qualified to earn commissions. And even if you only have like 1 person so far on one side, the volume keeps accumulating because you're paying your monthly IA. So really, in our company, you're qualified for commissions from day 1. And back to you, Sherry.
Absolutely. And we have Valine said, really unsettling and awesome job, Renee.
Oh, thank you.
Right. And then we have Tony asked another question, question number 2. So if the car is a lease and not owned by LC, can LC decide to take 18 months cash instead of a car lease? That's assumed it's a lease.
Basically, the company's rule is it has to be a car. I know that there's also the possibility, I believe, to exchange for like a diamond ring instead. And the reason why is because you've already made all that commission, because we do focus heavily on commission, and the CEO believes that once you have reached that level to qualify the car program, you really could buy your own car itself too. But some people, again, they choose to want to keep the money. But at that point in time, when you reach so much high income, we want to make sure that you're also leading by example in terms of the image that you're portraying to the field, right? So it's sort of more like advanced training, because when you reach to a higher level and your team is calling upon you to do meetings and tours, some people might have a lot of money, But when they drive up to the meetings, it doesn't make much sense to have a Corolla or something like that. So we want to make sure that you looked the part. At that point in time, when you reach the point in time where you're actually qualifying for the car program, you have a lot of commission coming through already. I'm talking about monthly 5-figure incomes, or even close to 6-figure incomes monthly. But again, we want to make sure that everyone's representing the style of who we are at GWT. So the answer is no, you cannot get the cash for it, but you can, of course, exchange for, I believe, like a fairy mosh ring, though. So, yeah, back to you, Sherry.
Absolutely, I would love to have fairy mosh ring if I by choice, but it both shows lifestyle basically. I think it's whatever you can choose. But I know Renee enjoying your car. Can you describe the car to everyone here? Because since we cannot really see it.
Of course, it's a $130,000 BMW M5. It's the world's fastest sedan, 560 horsepower V8 twin turbo, dual clutch, has a butt massager, and it goes 0 to 100 in 3.7 seconds. So there you go.
Awesome. Wow, butt massager. That's what I got out of
It is true, though.
Thank you. Sounds great. Thank you so much. So, Sean Hin saying a brilliant training from National Ambassador Renee Liao, and eye-opening training for every MLMers in the industry should be listened to.
Well, thank you.
Okay, we have Michelle said, is this webinar uploaded on our GP site? I want to see this webinar over and over again as well as a reference.
You know what? I would love to. Once we finish the call, I can click the convert recording and upload it afterwards. So once we are done this call, it'll be online about 20 minutes afterwards.
Sounds great. Thank you. And Anne Marie said, I have all my persons on one leg.
Yes, Emily, if you have all your personal transfers on one leg, you are banking the volume, but you also want to put one person on your other side. So you have to personally put one person on each side to qualify for those commissions. But until then, you are banking all that great volume. So thank you.
Oh, yeah. Tony said, thanks for a wonderful presentation and very entertaining. Really, GWT is the best to the billion. And Tim said, always enjoy listening to your webinar. Lots of great information. Thank you. And Emery says again, if one has 4 person in their common leg and 9 in your personal leg, no commission. Yeah, and the answer is that's right.
Yeah, so basically, Emery, I really suggest you to get in touch with all 5 by 5, maybe after the call. You can answer all your questions in detail. Yep. And so the answer is yep. And so the answer is yeah.
Okay. So and we have Amy asked, do we need to pay monthly membership in order to get paid?
Yeah, so Amy, in any kind of MLM company, the only similarity you'll find is that you have to have that monthly commitment to the payments, because in order for you to collect the residual income from other people in your organization, one has to do it themselves, right? So it's very fair, and that's what every other company does too. But the nice thing is that in our company, you're not forced to, have to auto ship products to your house that you can't finish, not necessarily. You can buy what you've always wanted. So the answer is yes, you do have to pay a monthly membership to get your commissions.
Great. Amy, I hope the question is answered, and because you also answered the question why, and Amy also said if you give members option then. Renee?
Oh, sorry, what was that, Sherry?
Basically, Amy asked another question saying if you give members option on the paying the monthly.
Oh yes,
correct?
you have an option to not pay the monthly, MIA, the monthly inventory account. But then again, you won't be making those commissions then, right? So again, for any kind of comp plan related questions, I would suggest everyone to contact their My5, because we don't have enough time to cover all those kind of questions here. But I do see one question from Eddie here, which is sort of more the ones that we can answer, which is, hey Renee, what would you say is the main pitfall distributors suffer from? Eddie, great question. I think the main pitfall that most people suffer from, and they don't even realize is because I didn't even cover it on tonight's phone call, is not even really a compound pitfall. It's just a general pitfall, which is a lack of proper training. I think there's a lot of people out there who are believing all of the hype that their uplines or their trainers are teaching them, and they're not verifying this information. Whereas for me, even though I hear something from Ramin when I first got started a long time ago, I actually verified all that information. And I think a lot of people are just sort of believing what their top leaders are saying, that they have the best comp plan, but they're not really doing their own research. So I think a lot of so I guess it's a sort of close your eyes and just go with the flow pitfall, where you're not really looking to what's really happening out there. I think people need to get educated out there. So that's really the main pitfall, in my opinion. Because once you get that, once you actually look into yourself, you realize that all these other pitfalls come into place, right? So, yeah.
Renee, I think the time is up. We have it's already 10:30 and Eastern Standard Time. I think for those of more questions, we should get them to answered by the MI5.
Yes. Oh, the only one question I did want to answer is Krisha said that you want a company to pay out 80%, but then she heard me say that GWT only pays out 70%. So I want to clarify really quickly. So GWT pays out 70%, right? So every dollar that comes in, the company pays out 70%. Now, most other companies only pay about 40% or less on average, right? What I meant was, of the 70% that we pay out, which is already the highest in the industry, most of that should be in commissions. So of the 70% that we pay out, 60% is in commissions and 10% is in bonuses. So 60 plus 10 is 70, right? So in other words, if 60% of our 70% is paid out in commissions, it's well over 80%. So 60 divided by 70 is well over 80% focus on commission. So what I meant was a company's focus of all their money they pay out, it should be well over 80% in commissions, okay? So again, we do pay out 70% total payout. Of that 70, most of it is in commissions, which is more than 80%, okay? So again, I share it back to you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Renee. Let's stop all the comments, questions right here. Otherwise, we're gonna stay here until tomorrow, because we do have a lot of questions and comments coming in. So one more thing that we need to make sure that for the Toronto Bootcamp, it's also international bootcamp. We are going to broadcast this bootcamp because it's so important and it's going to be so amazing, and so we are going to broadcast this bootcamp. So make sure that we are going to send a link out, and make sure that if you cannot be in Toronto in person, then make sure you make that day available for yourself, and you can be listening to the bootcamp at the same time with others. So thank you so much, Renee, for another amazing training, and we're gonna see you again next week.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Good night. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.